what better time to talk about a character being sick than when one of us is sick? I think that's just, great timing all around. Just adds to the realism of this episode.
Yeah.
So we got it all going here this week.
Perfect.
It's perfect, of course. Hello, welcome to this week's episode. Jared and now watch Inuyasha is episode 90. I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Allen Ladium.
Hello.
We are discussing season 4, episode 7, or episode 89, entitled "Nursing Battle of the Rival Lovers," which kind of happens.
Sort of, yeah.
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, we kick this episode off with a recap of last week's episode, and then Kagome is sick.
Got cold.
She's sick. Yeah, her cold from the previous episode has not gotten better, and now she's just down for the count, and she's upset because she feels like she's holding everyone back, and they're like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And Yo's like, get better. I'm angry. He runs away and just starts slaying a bunch of demons. Not because he's, like, trying to. It's just, like, they're in the way, so he just needs to get rid of them. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's doing that. Moroku and Songo are just like, hey, what if you just went back home? Because, like, they probably have better ways to make you feel better, like medicine and remedies and all that sort of stuff than we do here. It's probably a good idea for you just to go home.
Modern medicine seems real cool.
Yeah. So they ship off Kagome and send her home. And Inuyasha eventually comes back with a giant bag full of stuff that he was going to use to help Kagome feel better. And then they're like, oh, we sent her home. He's like, what do you mean you sent her home? Oh, I'm so bad.
I did all this.
I mean, he tried. He tried his best.
He did. There's a crab in there.
There's, like, multiple crabs.
Kilala, like, tries to attack a fish at one point. And Songo's like, that's not for us.
It's pretty good.
Don't do that. Which, like, having to take a cat away from things that they're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
So Kagome goes home. She gets rested up. She gets right to bed. She apparently can't eat anything because her cold is that bad.
And it's kind of weird.
Her grandpa calls her in sick and is like, oh, she has a cold for real this time.
And they're like, oh, a cold, huh? That seems weird. That's really
everyone's very
normal.
surprised by the normalness of her sickness.
We've actually heard of that before.
Yeah. Her friends decide they're going to go visit her after school, and Hojo goes into a classroom and is like, oh, you're going to see Kagome?
I'm like, oh, we didn't see you standing there.
You want to come? He's like,
Maybe
I could get her something. Oh, whatever. So yeah, she sleeps through the day basically, and then her friends and Hojo show up. Her friends are just like trying to see how she's doing. Hojo brings her like a bajillion things, a big old fruit basket, charms, a dumbbell.
And then he keeps it in his pocket.
He just pulls it out of his pocket like, here's a dumbbell. He brought her something else. I forget what it was.
I forget what it was too, but he pulled it out of his other pocket.
It's like one last thing.
Also before he gets there, they ask the girlfriends like, oh, is the other guy gonna like show up and see you while you're sick? And she's like, no, he wouldn't do that. And they're like, oh, that sucks. That's rude of him. She's like,
he's possessive, rude, thoughtless.
And she's like,
no.
He just lives far away. And
yeah, that's the case.
I'm like, oh, okay, long distance. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yep, that's how it's going.
I mean, it's as good of explanation as any you're gonna get here.
Yeah. They invite Hojo in, and then along the way, Inuyasha shows up.
Mm-hmm.
He finds Sota and is like, yo. I'm like, oh, Inuyasha, hey, what's up? By the way, Kagome's friends are here. They're seeing how she's doing, and Inuyasha's like, okay, I will wait outside. Wait for her to be better. So yeah, like all of them are having this conversation in her room talking about like one of the friends' like romantic interest or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kagome just gets up to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then the friends and Hojo have this conversation about they're trying not to tell Hojo that Kagome has a boyfriend,
mm-hmm.
but then they say it and then try to skirt around it, but then Hojo thinks that he's the boyfriend for whatever reason.
Yeah, he's like, well, I guess
And
I
it's
kind of
very
am
weird.
boyfriend. I was like, what gave him that idea? Like that, what? That's so uncomfortable.
It's very bizarre.
Yikes.
So Kagome goes downstairs and Inuyasha's downstairs playing with the cat.
The
He's
cat.
like, yo. And she's like, what are you doing here? Like, well, I came to see if you're. Sango and Baroku sent me to see if you're doing better. Of course, it wasn't because I wanted to see if you're doing better or anything. I'm just here on behalf of them because I can go through the well and they can't. That's why.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. And then she leaves mid him having a discussion with her. Like he looks away and then looks back and Sota's just there sitting there instead.
Well, and then she does that to Hojo later too. Then he's talking to her. She just walks away and I'm like, Kagome, what the
She is very sick.
She just walks away from people in the middle of conversations.
Yeah. Because Hojo's like, oh, something's troubling you. You should come to me if anything's troubling you. She just walks away.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
She goes back to her room and her friends are studying and she's like, what are you guys studying? And oh yeah, there's this big comprehension test that is very important for us to take because it's going to determine what classes we take in high school and everything. And all it's tomorrow, by the way. And Kagome's like, oh great. I didn't know about that. I need to study and learn this. Hojo helped me study. And
she puts on a mask at this point now.
Yeah.
As opposed to having it on the whole time. So now everybody in this room is going to be sick.
Yep. Inuyasha goes back to his time and goes back to the shack where everyone is and rushes in. They're all looking at the food and everything. And Brogu with a lobster in his hand or a crab in his hand is like, oh, we're not touching anything. Nope. And he's like, he looks at it while he's holding, hides it. But Inuyasha doesn't care. He just goes through the bag, finds a bunch of stuff, and then just leaves. And they're all like, okay, weird. Kagome's grandpa tries to find this weird old jar. Is the medicine that's been passed down through our family for generations. And the cat's on the ball and hanging out, and then the cat knocks the ball to Soda, and Soda kicks the ball at the grandpa's head, and he drops the medicine. He's like, my medicine!
The medicine!
My medicine!
I like that Inuyasha shows up as hey, can I have a cooking pot?
Yeah. He's just he's got a bunch of herbs and stuff. He's like, you got a cooking pot I could use? And Kagome's mom just goes is metal fine? And he lays out all his herbs and he's liver, that's all you need to feel better. This liver, chicken liver, all these herbs, you throw them in together, bam, medicine. And they're all like, that sounds very bizarre, but okay, dude.
Yep.
And he's like, let's get ready to cook it. And he gets his claws out. It's very funny.
Boar liver, carp liver, chicken liver.
Yep, all you need. Kagome studies. Inuyasha doesn't want her to study. Because he's like, you should be resting and not studying. You're not going to make yourself feel better by studying.
The one time Inuyasha makes sense.
No, get out. I got to study. I don't want to go to school. Yeah, it's the one time he makes sense. And he's like, okay. And then he comes back with the medicine. And he's like, here you go. Here's some medicine.
So it's just barfing behind, basically.
So he's like, oh, no. And he's like, this smells really bad. He's like, don't worry about it. All medicine smells bad. It's fine. Just drink it and you'll feel better. And she just drinks it. And Sota the whole time is like, ugh.
And then she asks what's in it. Sota's back there doing cross arms, do not tell her.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, my mom used to make this for me, but she used dry ingredients instead. And Kagome's like, oh, what did you put in this instead? And he's like, and said Sota's like, no. He's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Whatever.
It works. That's all that matters.
It works. And then he pats her leg to sleep until she falls asleep. Mm-hmm. Oh, my mom did this as well. And then she wakes up and she feels great, but she slept in. And she's like, I can't make it to school. And then Inuyasha just
his Uber driver.
He jumps across buildings and then they makes it to school so she could take her test. And he just sits on top of the school for the rest of the day.
Yep. He's gonna get a sunburn.
That's how the episode ends.
Woo.
We got a couple of notes here.
Okay.
This episode through episode 101 are all filler.
Nice. Filler arc.
In deleted scene. After they cook and while it's boiling, Inuyasha told Sota, Ms. Higurashi, and Grandpa Higurashi the story about his mother, about how his mother made this medicine.
Also, the subtitle guy at one point misspelled
Higurashi.
Higurashi.
Sure. And Inuyasha stays in the modern era for 6 days.
Wait to see him with a hat again soon.
Yeah, next episode, Hat Inuyasha's back.
Love Hat Inuyasha.
It's true. But yeah, let's talk about what we're going to be talking about next week.
Okay.
Which is episode 90.
Mm-hmm.
This page will load. Doesn't really want to. There we go.
Soda's Brave Confession of Love.
That's it. That's what we're going to talk about. Soda's going to confess his love to someone, and Inuyasha's like, what? I'm going to wear a baseball hat.
Neat.
So we'll figure all that out next time. But for now, if you would like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool. That's where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. So join us next week as we find out if Soda's betrothed reciprocates his feelings.
If he shoots a shot and scores, I guess. I don't know. He's a child, so
he's a very deep voiced 6-year-old.
I don't even know how old he actually is. He's 9, sorry.
Same difference.
Same difference. He's a child. I don't know how to tell difference of age of kids. They're kids.